to Wholesale Hotline, where we cover everything to do with wholesale real estate. I'm Jamil Damji.
I'm Brent Daniels.
And I am Pace Morby.
And together we cover the most important parts of wholesale real estate.
Lead generation.
Conversion of sellers into contracts.
And dispositions. Guys, remember when you're watching this show, do us a favor and squad up in the comments.
Make sure that you are liking and subscribing to the YouTube channels and in the Facebook group Wholesale Hotline.
Most important, we want to know we're doing a great job for you and helping you build your business. So go give us a review on iTunes and or Spotify.
So squad up and enjoy the show!
Biden, in Mexico. Welcome to Wholesale Hotline number 220. I am Brent Daniels, Mr. TTP.
Jamil Damji, Keegley, Astro Flipping, and White Shirt Boy today.
And Jerry Norton, Flipping Mastery. Hey, guys.
Hey, how are you, Jerry?
Awesome. How are you guys doing?
I want to dig in. We didn't really have time to do it justice last week, but I really wanted to get into the South Carolina, get your thoughts on the future, because you have franchises everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. And they have in South Carolina, they have effectively shut down wholesaling real estate.
Yes. As we currently know it.
Okay. That's what I want to get into.
Yeah. So I think there's lots of opportunity, but of course we've got the authority on all things regulation and how to navigate the waters with us. The one and only Flipping Mastery over here. Jerry, what is your thoughts? What's happening into South Carolina? How is this going to affect people? And what do you think the pivot is moving forward? Because there's always a pivot, right?
Always a pivot.
We know that in everything in life, you have an obstacle, and then we grow, evolve, and then overcome the obstacle. That is what human beings do. So what are your thoughts there, my brother?
Well, first of all, there is still some uncertainty about this law. It's passed the House and the Senate, which means it's a 99.9% chance the governor signs it. And once they do, it goes into effect immediately. And the way they wrote this law is there's some things on there that are very confusing about the law. I actually interviewed Gary Pickren, which I think some of you guys know him. He's actually a commissioner, one of the 10 commissioners on the real estate commission in South Carolina. And so he gave me some perspective, and I'm waiting now for an interview with the what do you call him? The head commissioner, whatever his name is. His name's Andy something or another. He's waiting for
when you interview him, can you just call him Andy something or another? Just be like, hey, we've got the commissioner of something over here. His name is Andy something or another.
Head commissioner.
No, I'll get his full name by then. But we've been texting, and so here's the thing. Let me kind of try to explain it a little bit. And I think I've learned a lot since then. I thought I knew a lot about how this all was going down, and since this one, and doing a lot of talking with South Carolina specifically, I've learned a lot more, and I've gotten a lot more visibility on what's going on here. And first of all, I think it's important that everybody understands how the Real Estate Commission works. So real estate's governed state by state. Every state has a real estate commission. The objective and the job of the Real Estate Commission is to protect the consumer.
Yep.
And the way that they protect the consumer is by creating a licensure around any type of brokering where somebody is assisting a buyer or a seller in a real estate transaction where they get compensated. If you're involved in a transaction whatsoever where you get compensation, then the Real Estate Commission is created to protect the public from you somehow in one way or another harming the public. And this is residential only. This doesn't apply to commercial. And so they create licensure, and then they monitor and enforce licensees. Now, we all think of real estate agents, and we think of getting a real estate license as being able to sell real estate. But really, the Real Estate Commission is there for that very specific reason. Now, they create law, and that law is to be defined by them and enforced by them. So
and this is all civil law, right? This is all, you know, in the realm of if you breach, maybe not even get sued, but you get fined, you get sanctioned, and then that might turn into a civil forfeiture of your license or some other type of civil penalty, right? We're not talking criminal.
Yeah,
action.
you could go to jail. Definitely.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So that's super important.
So here's what they do.
Okay.
They start out with a cease and desist. And by the way, South Carolina has been gunning for wholesalers prior to this new law. If you go on any of the South Carolina real estate boards, one of the top conversations is around people getting cease and desist letters. So wholesalers. So they are one of the states that is actively enforcing the real estate laws in that state. Other states have laws and they don't, we don't hear much about them enforcing it, not South Carolina. So there's been a lot of cease and desist to wholesalers by doing things the wrong way. Prior to this was their attempt to come at it even harder. And they're saying that this is just round one. They're going to come back at this again and again and again. And what the commission is saying, straight from the commission, is we are not going to stop until we've completely stopped wholesaling in the state of South Carolina. Like, that's the objective. That's coming straight from the commission. Now, keep in mind, the Real Estate Commission is made up of 9 active real estate agents, 1 lawyer who's a closing attorney, and 1 finance guy, like a banker. And the National Association of Realtors is heavily behind helping this all happen. So they're
funding it. They're
on the meetings. They're giving their input.
Do you remember when you and Pace were really giving the business to Steve Trang in the installment method?
Yeah.
This attorney created it.
Yes. The installment method.
Yes. You remember?
Yeah.
Remember that whole show?
Yeah. So wait, he created the workaround to the law that he just helped enact.
Yes. And he coaches it.
And then coaches it. He's financially tied to that as well.
Correct.
So,
right, Jerry? Am I wrong?
There's been a lot of scrutiny because of a bias.
I read a lot of your comments on that video. By the way, it's an incredible, it's a really incredible interview. I thought, Jerry, that you were very fair on both sides. But I think that you saw the writing on the wall in South Carolina and what they're doing. They get jurisdiction on you by making you get a license, and then they can tell you what you can do with that license.
Yeah.
Wow. And even as a private investor, you are now going to be under their scrutiny
if you buy the house,
exactly. So that's where I want to go with this. Yeah. But they're going to make sure that the entire world of equitable interest is snuffed out. They do not want you to be able to sell contractual rights.
And they have an interesting opinion on equitable interest.
So what's the opinion?
It gives you the right to use the property, right? Is what he said, Jerry.
So they don't look at equitable interest the way that we define it, which is contractual rights
to buy the house. That's what, if you look at the definition of equitable interest, I have interest in this property by way of right to purchase it.
So they don't define equitable interest that way in South Carolina.
Okay. What is that? Do they have a specific definition?
Yes. Equitable interest would be right to use the property.
How does that even work? Because if I'm under contract on a property, how do I have right to use it?
You don't. That's their point. That's the point. They don't recognize your contract as equitable interest in the property in South Carolina.
You have to be on title.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So they redefine the entire word, which, I mean, look, you're the governing body of the state. If you want to make new definitions for words, that's totally fine. It's within your right to do so, and they have the authority and the power to make that call, and so that's what they're doing. Fine. But I feel like there is a huge conflict of interest that is apparent here right now when you've got one of the members of the governing body that has created a coaching product and a way to transfer title through the installment method. And I'm so, again, Pace and I, we did give Steve Trang the coals that day, but here's why. I love Steve Trang. He's one of our great friends, and he will always be a brother to us. And that was just a conversation.
Yeah, sure.
But the reality is that when you say to somebody, okay, look, I'm going to give you $1,000. Transfer title to me. Give me the title to your home so that I can now go and wholesale it without having to be into this house for all the money, right? Give me your title. And then if I, for whatever reason, don't want to buy it because during the inspection period, I uncover that there's a foundation issue or this house just needs way too much work than what I had originally anticipated. There's so many reasons why a deal falls apart. They happen in retail transactions almost 50% of the time. If you look at retail contracts, they typically fall out at about a 50% rate, just based off of inspections, appraisals. I don't like the neighborhood, whatever it is. You guys sell real estate. I sell real estate. We lose about half of our contracts and then have to go under contract again. And so this happens. This is a natural occurrence. So something happens. You've now transferred title to your name. There's no title insurance on that transfer because it's not a real transfer. And then now you've got a dirty deed, right? If what Steve Tragg was saying was that, well, if I want to unravel it, I just transfer the title back. When you've got multiple warranty or multiple deed transfers that just happen at land title without there being title insurance, without there being a title report, without there being the necessary eyeballs to make sure that the parties are all who they say they are and everything is kosher. If that's not happening, you have a dirty deed. That dirty deed now is like a salvage title on a car. This person is trying to say that this is going to be the workaround. I'm going to come here and I'm going to destroy the deeds of all of these people, and I'm going to coach investors on how to do this to the public with my position as being one of the board members of this governing body. I think that's disgusting.
Well, so the way they're defining this installment method is basically a contract for deed, or they're called something different everywhere, but it's a land contract in some states, a contract for deed. And so you're not actually on title. You have what they're calling equitable ownership on that property, recognized by the state as now, you're checking that box of, I've got equitable ownership in this property, even though I'm not yet on the deed until you pay it off. So for example, you agree on a price of $100,000.
Okay, so there's no deed transfer.
It sits in escrow until you exercise it.
So are we just talking nuance then? They're just wanting us to use a different contract? Is this like literally the whole thing? It's like, we don't want to use a purchase and sale contract anymore. Now we want to use a contract for deed, which is essentially the same thing, where you don't actually transfer the title until after we've paid it all off, but you give me $1,000 here. Bro, come on.
Yeah. So
this is absolute shenanigans.
Well, and it gets messy because, you keep the seller in the property. You're now equitable ownership, and then you remarket. Now you can go to market because you're not violating something you don't own yet. You actually do, by virtue of $1,000 down payment. The seller keeps the $1,000 down payment. They get that no matter what. Then you either fix it up or you don't fix it up. You find a new buyer for $120. You close, pay off your land contract of $100, and you basically just did a no money or almost no money wholesale type transaction.
If I promise to be nice to this guy, can we bring him on to Wholesale Hotline?
I think he would come on.
Yeah.
I
sure.
I will absolutely.
He basically said the government does not like us making money without risk. He said that.
Okay, so he wants there to be skin in the game. He wants there to be risk. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Okay, look, we've got a lot of real estate markets. For instance, North Carolina has an option fee. In Texas, they've got option fees. These are non-refundable deposits that people put down to do due diligence so that they can determine whether or not they want to move forward on the property. Mm-hmm. I think that it absolutely makes the investor think twice about just putting a contract on a house. Mm-hmm. They really want to make sure that makes sense for them, that they're in earnest going to do everything that they can to move forward with the contract, which I believe is also ethical and above board. So I like all of that. And I understand the nuance of wanting to have the investor have skin in the game. Cool. Yeah. I get it. But it sounds to me like this whole thing was put together so that somebody could profit off of it.
What do you think, Jerry?
How much is his coaching product, by the way? What does he charge?
It's not cheap, I don't think, for the whole thing. I don't know.
You don't say.
But I mean, let's say that
there's more. I've got.
It's making my skin.
Yeah, I mean,
bro,
Gary,
this is making my skin crawl right now.
Yeah.
Hey,
Pacer. What Gary's saying is that because he had a vested interest in his product, he sat out of the conversation.
Yeah,
that
he recused himself from the vote.
Yeah, so he stepped out. He was in the room, but he stepped out of the negotiation of the law. I mean, you do have real estate agents that were already pushing this and NAR. So there is more to it that want to stop this than just Gary, even if he does have a bias towards getting this law passed. So that's why I want to talk to more than just him. I want to talk to the head of the commission and some other people, because I want to hear it from them, not just from Gary. I want to hear more people.
And Gary is partners with Andrew Lucas, correct?
I mean, he's partners with Steve Trang on that product, and there's other partners. Yeah.
Okay, got it. And so here's the funny thing about it is that Gary, who is basically part of the group that's trying to outlaw wholesaling in South Carolina, is in partnership with some of the biggest wholesalers in that market.
And he's a closing attorney, so he prior worked with a lot of wholesalers. Now he's saying he will not do wholesale transactions because
unless they use his coaching product and his contract.
Well, I mean, like an assignment and normal wholesaling, he won't close those.
Yeah,
now.
Right.
Yeah,
because of the new law.
So
when can we bring Donkey Kong onto the show?
I'll ask him if he'll come on.
The governor has not signed yet.
No, but it's like any day, but as soon as it does, and here's the thing: the fines are equal to your profit on a wholesale deal. So they'll do a cease and desist. If you don't stop, then they can fine you. And then if you keep doing it, then you can get in trouble.
And you can't market the property. That's their big thing.
Okay.
Right. Even with a license, you can't market equitable interest. And if you go and you're like, yeah, well, I didn't market it. I just told my buddy Jamil about it, and he buys a bunch of properties. If there's a track record of me finding properties and selling it to you or selling it to anybody else, they can then claw back all of my deals.
Well, here's what gets crazy about
all into a lawsuit.
Here's what's
crazy. It's not like you can. It's not like you're like, oh, your email blast and all this stuff. The pick up the phone. Hey, do you want this deal? Type of thing. No.
So they put a clause in that said marketing a property is different than marketing a contract. You can still market a contract. So it was very vague though. So I asked Andy, the commissioner, and Gary, and they said, okay, here's what this means. And here's how we're going to enforce this. If you include pictures, an address, a description about a property, then we're looking at as if you're marketing the property, not the contract. Even if you say contract for sale, here's pictures, here's an address, and here's a description of a house, they're considering that violating marketing a property. So I said, okay, well, how do you market a contract? Like, do you show a picture of your contract? And they're like, yeah, you're marketing. You have to literally market a contract. So like, I'm just imagining this, like, okay, here's my contract for sale. If you zoom in, you can see the address on there. Go do your own due diligence, but I can't show you pictures. I can't talk about a property. I can only talk about a contract in any type of marketing. Like, this is hilarious. Like, how's that even supposed to work? Hey, I got a contract for sale. You're really going to want it. It's amazing, but I can't tell you what you're buying. Like, that's what it's going to be. That's what they're saying they want to do.
Pace, what are your thoughts on this? You've had an opportunity to listen in on the conversation that we've been having here, and we're going to actually bring the attorney that helped put this into law onto the show. I swear I will be nice. I'm just getting it all out of my system right now. But what do you think, dude?
Pace should explain a installment method so that everyone understands. It's an executory contract, Pace, basically a contract for deed or land contract. And what Gary's saying is he's saying land contracts have been recognized in the state for hundreds of years. There's case law around it. You have equitable ownership. As long as you buy it this way, you can now say, I'm in this property. I'm not reselling a property I don't own. And then you just turn around and remarket it at that point. That's the new strategy that they're saying to do there.
Yeah. So I just did one of these. I mean, we do them all the time, but I just did one with a car. So think about this. The nuance between the difference of what these two things are is so minuscule. It's so freaking minuscule. It's ridiculous. What it is this attorney's ability to gatekeep. And I can tell you in 2024, gatekeeping is not something that the general public appreciates. In the YouTube world, right? Look what Jerry Norton did in the world of wholesale. Like, he did not gatekeep. He just gave the information. So when the attorney decides, I'm going to take creative finance, it's been around for a couple hundred years, and I'm going to push this law so that everybody can't do the other way to force them to do business with me, it's unethical and it won't last. It won't last. And the other thing is, he's trying to patent the installment sale. I just talked to somebody this morning. He's trying to patent this and the way he does it. So you can't do an installment sale without going through him in the state of South Carolina. It's just really interesting. It's one guy's way of saying, instead of me trying to play nice with everybody and improve the industry, how do I dismantle the industry and force everybody to do business with me? Right.
I mean, it's diabolically genius at one level. And again, I understand why Pace and I attacked Steve Trang like a pack of dogs that day, because it makes your skin crawl if you think about it, right? Like, it's not okay. It's not okay, because you're playing with a deed. You're using semantics. You're forcing people to do this a specific way, and then you are charging them. You're trying to charge them thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars so that you can teach them how to use this contract, as opposed to just doing business the way that business has always been done.
Tell me how this plays out. So I'm imagining this, Jamil. Okay, I sit down with you. You're the seller. I'm the wholesaler, right? And I say to you, listen, I want the cash. I want the convenience and speed. I'm going to give you the speed and convenient cash offer, but I'm not going to pay you cash. I'm going to buy this on an installment sale. I'm going to give you $1,000, and you're going to wait 90 days to get paid. Why would they give you the low cash offer that you need in order to then wholesale it for $20,000 more? I don't understand. I mean, in creative finance, typically, hey, I'm going to pay a whole lot more because you're going to give me terms.
Right.
Like, that's why we get terms. We pay more, we get terms. It all works out. But in order to turn around and wholesale it, you got to be buying it at the low cash offer number, but you're not giving the seller a low cash offer number. You're giving him a sit around and wait. Here's $1,000 to sit around and wait number. I don't know. I'm just trying to imagine how you make that sale at the kitchen table.
Well, and
here's a couple. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Pace. Why didn't anybody fight it?
Well,
nobody knows this stuff is going on.
NAR was invited.
Attorneys and fight it.
NAR was invited. No one else was invited. NAR and the Real Estate Commission passed this.
Got it. So, but it went through. I mean, it was a vote.
It was
at the House and the
according
Senate.
to
So
Gary.
nobody's going to go and try to get some, it pushed out, or keep it tied up in the courts for a while, or keep it tied up in the wherever a bill goes. I guess
it was a 4-hour Zoom with the Real Estate Commission, which is made up of 7 or 8 active real estate agents, and NAR, a NAR representative, and they push this through the House and the Senate.
But it has to be like public knowledge that they're going to do that, right?
I mean,
it has to be.
Once they introduce it,
Zooms.
Once they introduce it, you
happening in Arizona.
No, here's how it works. Once they introduce the law, then it has to go through the House and the Senate. So you can reach out to your representatives and voice your opinion, but the House and the Senate vote on it.
So who elected the real estate agents to be on the commission?
That's most commissions are real estate agents.
So yeah, who put them there? Who gave them the seat?
I don't know. I don't know how they get elected. I don't know.
Y'all want to move to South Carolina and cause some shit?
No, but I mean, really, is now that they have what he was talking about, that was, I think, the biggest bomb in that whole thing, Jerry, that I heard was, he said, we created the mechanism to stop wholesaling, and now other states can take it. Before, there was no mechanism to stop wholesaling the way that it currently is. And now that the other ones, and I talked to Mike with Azria, and he literally says every single year, the real estate commissioner says, convince me why I should allow wholesaling.
Yeah. So here's what Gary told me off the record, which I found fascinating. You know how we mastermind as investors? He said all the commissions in all the states, they go to the same thing. They go to conventions. He said the number one conversation between all the state commissions is how to stop wholesaling. That's the number one conversation at their meetups.
And now they have a mechanism.
I got a question. Why do we care if we can just close on the property and resell it?
Thank you.
That's what we have to elevate that conversation.
That knocks out a lot of people entering the market.
It does, but here's actually, it doesn't knock them out, because look, Jerry's got transactional funding, Pace, myself.
Can't use it with this.
Well, of course you could.
You can't.
Why?
You cannot market it until you own it.
Okay, well, let's just say this, okay? Let's not call it transactional funding. Let's call it private lending, okay?
Right.
And say somebody is under contract on a deal, and they reach out to me as a lender, right? Or they reach out to Jerry, they reach out to Pace, reach out to Brent. They're like, hey, look at this deal, underwrite this deal for its efficacy as a product for you to want to loan on. Okay, cool. I look at it, I underwrite it, I see this deal makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
As a lender, I feel confident that if I lent the money on this deal and I would be okay with owning this property, or if I would figure out how to exit out of this property, I like it at this specific price, I'll loan on it. All right. Well, now, even if you don't have money, there are lenders out there that if you get something at a good enough deal,
100%.
that they will come in and be your JV partner and lend on the deal.
But you can't market it.
But not marketing it, right? They lend on it, you
think about
close
somebody
it.
starting out in this business.
Yep.
Making a mistake.
Well, that's the reason why you have somebody like Jerry, Pace, you or I as the lending partner, as the person who comes in and underwrites.
I didn't do my first deal by myself until I got to my 101st deal.
Sure.
Right? Like I look at this and I think it's actually a benefit to the industry. I think that this is
so
awesome.
What do you do with disposition businesses?
Well, I mean, at that level, right? Dispo is not going to work, right? And not the same way you would have to own it, right? So Keegley would have to own the deal to sell the deal, or the other dispo houses would have to own the deal to sell the deal. And I think at that level, then the MLS probably becomes how you sell the property.
Yep.
Right. So you can't use an investor lift. You can't use a Keegley. You can't use any disposition service. You got to go in. You got to own the deal. You got to close on the deal, and then you sell the deal.
Yeah.
And
you could use a dispo service, but your highest paying buyer is usually the MLS, right? Because you get more eyeballs. So that's where most of the transactions are going to go, back on the MLS.
Well, how could you use a dispo service even if you own it? How could you use a dispo service to help you sell the deal that doesn't own the property? How could they then send it out to their buyers if they're not the owner of or owner of record?
No, I just mean internally. Like, you're not going to have your own dispo team. You could still reach out to your cash buyers and say, hey, I own this. Do you want it for 120?
Right. You just couldn't use a third party. You couldn't use a Keegley, an investor lift, or something of that nature to come in and assist you in getting the deal dispositioned. You would have to have that internally in the ownership of the company that took title to the property.
Yeah. I mean, I've already transitioned in my wholesale business to this exact play where we're buying it and then we're reselling it. And I think the number one thing that all of us are going to need to figure out for people that want to get into this game is capital. Capital is going to be the name of the game. If you can't 100%. Get access to capital, you're not going to be able to play this game. And guys, is this going to happen overnight? I mean, South Carolina is a great example of it happening. But I look at things like I want to be one step ahead, and the future of the wholesale industry is not looking good for the assignment or the double close, because the objective is to stop you, or novations, because the objective is to stop you from transacting before you own a property.
I love it. I think it's great. I think it's great for the industry. I think that we will always find ways around things and doing things more legitimate. I think it's good for the industry. Sadly, the wholesale industry doesn't have a collective group of people that protect it. And so we will continually get beat up by NAR and can continually get beat up by agents because we don't have a group of people fighting on our behalf. And we don't have a group of people. Notoriously, wholesalers are cheap. Okay. And what do I mean by that? They want to do everything no money. They hate this. This is not everybody, right? But this is a good good part of the collective is that wholesalers don't want to get a license because it costs money. They also don't want to get a license because they don't want to answer to anybody. And they
don't want an association. Remember we tried for the
There you go.
association?
So when you ask for those two
opposition.
things, you ask for those two things. The other thing you get in return is a smack in the face when NAR comes and attacks you. You don't have anybody that, like Brent had a good question. Why was there nobody there to protect the wholesalers? Because there's nobody that even knows that this is going on. They're not even invited to the party because there's no actual like, who's in charge of wholesaling?
You guys, the four of us sat down 2 years ago and had this conversation. You guys remember?
Yeah.
And we said, let's get organized. Let's start an association. We even went down that road. We set it up, and we got so much opposition from the industry that we were trying to monopolize it, and we were trying to.
It was insane how many people opposed that. Like,
oh my gosh,
the number of DMs I was getting about that was just off the charts.
They thought that we were doing what the attorney was doing, that we would be in charge of the licensing of wholesalers, and we would be the big, benefits. We would get all the benefits.
We'd become empire.
They would all have to go through us.
You know what though? You look at NAR, and like them or hate them, for 100 years or however long, NAR has done a phenomenal job of protecting their agents.
Yep.
Are you kidding me? NAR.
Yeah.
The fact that NAR made it all the way to 2024 with the antiquated commission structure.
Yeah.
Is amazing. They fought so hard to protect their people, but they fight, right? Like NAR's there. They stand for something. They go out.
Yeah, and they're also funded, right? Like every time that you get a license, and they get a piece of everything, and so that's how they pay the bills to be able to do that.
They raise $500 million a year in dues. You know what I mean?
What what wholesaler is going to be okay with? $250 or $500 of every one of their transactions going into a bucket to help protect the industry. No one's going to agree to that.
Not even that. $50. Like we're talking. What do the NAR dues? Like $100 a year, and everyone's complaining about.
They've got tens of thousands of agents. We don't have tens of thousands of wholesalers.
Millions.
We've got the millions of agents. Yeah. So we don't have those numbers in the wholesale world, right? So we would absolutely have to charge more than $100 a year to create a governing body. But even if it was $500 a year, there's going to be opposition to that. There's going to be people who say, I don't want to pay that. I'm not interested in being a part of this.
It was interesting. Gary made a comment, and I don't know if he's right. I'd love to ask you guys, but he said, I think wholesaling is not salvageable. I don't think you guys can rehab wholesaling, meaning change the perception in the marketplace about what wholesaling is. We think we're wonderful in this room and everybody that's in our industry, but the rest of the world does not think wholesalers are wonderful. They think we're predatory. They think we kick old ladies out of their houses. They think we're harmful to sellers. They call it equity theft and all this crazy stuff. They don't understand us at all, but that's the rest of the world. And here we are now, late to the party, and we're getting steamrolled by regulation.
It won't change. It's not going to change. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I'm never going to get my license. I will always be an investor. You can't stop an investor being an investor. And I think what will happen is wholesalers will learn to get funding. Funding is as easy as a click of a button. It's why I built the Gator community. We have 9,000 people in there that get access to funding. I saw this coming a couple of years ago when Jerry probably was one of the biggest reasons why I saw this coming. And I'm like, okay, well, what's the solution to this? Wholesalers will continue to wholesale. They just won't call it wholesale. They'll call it buying a property and reselling it.
Good old fashioned buy it and sell it.
and I look at this too, and I'm like, okay, you know how easy it is? Like Jamil has funding that will close in a day. Jerry's got funding that will close in a day. Pace has funding that will close in a day. There's probably 200 people in the side chat right now that have funding that will close in a day. The only thing this does, and I'll tell you what this does, is actually a bad thing for the seller. And here's why. Because there are sellers that cannot be helped by an agent. I just bought one. I bought a deal. It's going in my portfolio. It's going to be a pad split. Phenomenal deal. Agent could not help this lady out. It had to be done with an investor. Just had to be. So what happens is now I have to buy my deals $10,000, $15,000 lower.
Yeah.
And guess what's going to happen? Those agents aren't going to step in and get educated on this.
That's exactly right. So what we're doing is we're essentially Because if we, by having the ability to assign the property, by having the ability to market it, we brought more competition to the table. We had more people willing to give us to be our buyer, which allowed us to pay more for the seller. Now that's going to be off the table. Now because we have to close on it, we got to make sure that we're in deep. And that's going to take money out of the seller's pocket. And this Gary guy who thinks that he's doing something good for the homeowner to stop predatory behavior is going to actually amplify it.
Hey, here's a good question for you. Let's say that I know 5 fix and flippers in town. Okay. I'm in South Carolina, I'm in Charleston. And I go to every time I get a new lead that comes into my business, I go to those 5 buyers and I say, hey guys, how much would you buy this property for before I go and negotiate the house? What would be a number that would be an appropriate number for me to contract this at? I haven't broken any laws there. I'm not marketing a contract and I'm not marketing a house. I'm asking them how much I should negotiate that house for, correct?
Yep.
Okay, great. I then go to the seller and I get it locked up at a price. Could I not just get my buyer to contract in my buyer's company's name directly and I get paid a finder's fee, or I get paid something outside of escrow?
With a license.
With a license.
Yeah, you couldn't do a finder's fee. You couldn't get paid legally. You can't get paid a commission outside of escrow, or a finder's fee outside of escrow. That would be a no-no.
Okay, so if I had a license, I could do that exact thing.
You could. Yep.
Okay, so for
$2,000
a year, I can do
you
that.
want.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even have to double close in that situation.
Nope.
So what's the big problem?
You're just a buyer's agent.
You just need to have good trust between the buyers and the wholesaler. That takes time to establish. You do have turkey buyers out there, as you run into them, Pace. I run into them. You run into them. The guys who, go around you and create, they don't care about the relationship. They just want the deal. So things like that are going to happen. So you're going to have new people come in, learn and then get burned and feel like this isn't for me and walk out of the business where, they could have become successful wholesalers if they were just in a community of people that weren't going to do that. And when we go directly to the buyer, that's a risk, right? That's definitely a risk that could happen. And so I don't know how you protect yourself in that in that circumstance or situation. Real estate with AK says create an LLC and market the LLC. That could be a workaround as well.
Jerry did it. Jerry talked about it. It's awesome.
Yeah. And so I've got some more. So I've done this quite a bit. In fact, when 2010 happened and everything was a bank-owned property, I did hundreds of these where I set up LLCs with each property and I sold the membership rights of the LLC. That way there was no assignment because you couldn't assign a bank property. The problem with this is, as a business model, it's very challenging, because here's the thing. If I form a new LLC today, and then I sell my membership rights of that LLC to Pace, and Pace is going to buy this LLC that I set up, well, I could encumber that LLC. I could go out and get a business line of credit on that LLC for $150,000 and then sell the LLC to Pace, and Pace just inherited debt. And so how do you buy an LLC where you're going to need to do a UCC filing to make sure it's clean, make sure there's nothing on there? It's just not clean, right? Like it can be done. And then even that begs to differ, because how do I am I selling the LLC or am I selling the property? Well, I'm selling the LLC that owns a contract to buy a property. And this is what South Carolina is saying. South Carolina is saying, if it looks like a duck, it's a duck, right? So if you're talking about a property and pictures and price and all these things, then they're saying, no. You're saying a contract for sale or membership rights of an LLC are for sale. But what's really going on here is you're selling real estate you don't yet own. That's a no-no. So see what I mean? It's kind of like, oh yeah, you can sell it. No one's saying you can't sell an LLC. No one's saying you can't do an assignment. That's what South Carolina is saying. But if it at all mirrors selling a property, and we're defining an address and pictures and a description about a property, we're defining those things as marketing a property. Now you're violating the law and you're subject to fines and penalties.
Right. So this does not mean you could double escrow, brother.
You can't.
You can't double escrow because you can't market the property. This is not a problem of how the property gets closed. It's how do we tell a buyer about this deal that's available without owning it?
And
that's
here's what
the
gets,
ultimate. That's where the breach happens, right?
And here's what gets worse. And here's what gets worse about South Carolina. South Carolina is an attorney state. So just like we have in every state where you have like wholesaler friendly title companies and then other title companies that won't do them. Like they're just like, an assignment. I don't want to do those. I don't understand them. No. Okay, great. Go to a wholesale friendly title company. What attorney is going to touch these with this law passing? An attorney is not going to put their license in jeopardy. So the word on the street right now is attorneys in South Carolina do not want to touch an assignment or a double closing because they could get dragged into a lawsuit and they're not going to put their license on the line.
If Fidelity National Title, who owns a lot of title companies, decided tomorrow that they will not allow assignments, it's done. It's shut down. I mean, you could get other ones, and there's other title companies, but that's a big one, and they all talk. It's
well, and
Jill,
think about
I know that's not on the table right now at Fidelity because Pace and I have a relationship there. We talk to the top brass, and Fidelity is actually they are embracing the world of creative finance. They're embracing the world of wholesaling. They see it as how they're going to continue to earn money, do business, and create goodwill within the community. So they're not looking at this as a way like Fidelity has no interest in stopping double escrows and stopping assignments.
But there's blood in the water with real estate lawsuits right now, and plaintiff attorneys after that NAR.
And think about how easy it is to stop a double closing. If you submit the contract, the BC contract prior to closing the AB contract, there you go. You must have marketed that contract prior to owning it because you submitted it to escrow prior to the closing. Right? I mean, it's going to be really easy if you cannot market a property you do not own to stop double closings.
Why is marketing a property you don't own such an issue? Why is just buying the property and marketing it after the issue? Let's talk about that for a second. I know the answer is you're asking a wholesaler to actually know what their numbers are.
Exactly.
Yep.
And
they're going to need to know how to underwrite.
And take risk, put some money in.
And take risk.
That's actually the bigger problem here. The bigger problem is that, and I'm going to be really honest here, wholesalers should be regulated. If that actually is the biggest problem, is that we are afraid of this regulation because wholesalers don't know their numbers, right? Like, okay, but if you guys just knew your numbers, you could just close on it and sell it. Oh, well, Pace, that's our problem. We haven't learned how to comp. And we don't want to learn how to do anything. We just want to go and get people under contract and lock them up and have no risk in anything.
And no earnest money and a 30 and an inspection all the way till closing. Like contingencies, no earnest money and a loosey-goosey contract I can back out at any time I want. What's the problem here, everybody?
Right. So I look at it and I'm like, we still are wholesaling, right? Here's the definition of wholesaling. Buying something at a lower price than the retail buyer can get it at, right? Amazon is a wholesaler. Okay. They're a wholesaler. Sometimes they're arbitraging. Other times they're making a product at a lower price point than what the retail buyer can buy it for. You still are selling it to people at a wholesale price.
Yeah.
You just have some lending fees on the front end and you actually understand how to comp and underwrite a property. And at the end of the day, isn't that what you want to do as a wholesaler anyway? Like,
yes,
negotiate with a homeowner properly, that you actually know what you're doing. And if you don't know what you're doing, then pair up with somebody else who does. Like, why is this a problem?
I mean, this is Open Door. This is CarMax. This is Sam's. I mean, this is every industry. The difference is in the wholesale industry, we somehow want a contract without any risk, any skin in the game. We don't want to own it. Like, think about a novation. Like, we do some novations, but think how messy a novation is. And why are we doing a novation? We're going to replace the contract with a new contract, keep the seller in play and all this stuff. Why? The only reason why you would ever do a novation is because you don't want to actually buy the property and resell it. That would be 10 times cleaner and easier to do. But we don't want to do it. We don't want to actually own the real estate, take the risk, raise the money, get the capital, take title. We want to transact without owning anything. And wonder why the regulators are all over us.
Yeah. No, it's gonna raise the bar. At the end of the day, I think what Pace says here, actually, we need to distill it, right? What he's saying is, as an industry, especially if you're in these markets where regulation is starting to come down, as an industry, we're going to need to grow up. We are going to need to learn the trade. We're going to need to learn how to underwrite. We're going to need to learn how to raise capital. We're going to need to learn how to take risk. We are going to need to learn how to partner with private money partners. We're going to need to learn how to become legitimate investors so that we can actually legitimately invest. And investing, my friends, is risk. It is. No matter how you look at it, it's going to be risk. And so what this is doing is it's evolving the industry into I think, its next body, its next evolution of actual business people doing business that take risk and learn their craft. It's the most terrible thing. Look, I do the Straight Outta Compton show twice a week, and I love doing it because I see the folks who show up to that, they're taking an active interest in their business. They're really wanting to learn. They're trying. But there's still so many people. How many times do you guys get DM'd with somebody who says, I've got a deal, and you take a look at the deal and you're like, bro, what are you doing? How often does that happen to you? How often does that happen to the three of you guys? Every day. Dozens of times.
Well,
Dozens of times.
How many wholesale deals get canceled on average?
Hundreds.
Out of 100 deals, how many do you think get canceled?
70. And it's because people don't get their numbers right.
Jerry, what do you think this does for like your platforms? You know, the you know what I mean? The PropWire, these other platforms that have exploded over the years, because wholesaling, you type in make money fast, wholesaling's top 5. Right?
It's going to take out the biz op, the get rich quick. I mean, those guys are going to run to drop shipping or some other thing. I mean, so from a I guess from a coaching perspective, if you sell to newbies, and look, I've helped a lot of people get their first deal over the years like that. I've done that quite a bit, and it's been an amazing thing. Yeah. But what it's going to mean now is it means if you're a newbie in this industry, you've got to change your expectations. You can't think that you can come in here and not put earnest money down and have a contract that you can back out of any time and not take any risk. And someone's going to hand you a deal in your lap, and it's not going to take work or effort or a real business. You don't have to set up an LLC. I mean, like it's going to become, like Jamil said so beautifully, you're going to have to be a grown-up now. You're going to have to be a big boy, a big girl, and you're going to show up to this game. And if you've got 0, 0, 0, you're going to need to go work for the wholesaler outfit that has a sales position and earn some commission for a while until you've got some money to where you can go, float payments on a loan or something for 90 days or whatever. Like Pace says, squat up with partners and you bring the deal and the partners got the capital. And I'd rather split profits and do a deal than sit at home and not do a deal. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, yep. Here's what I've been telling people, because this is not going to be cheap to get access to capital that's 100% on deals. It's going to need to be a phenomenal deal, and you're going to probably pay quite a bit to a lender to get 100% funding to take down a deal like this, right?
Absolutely. You're going to pay at minimum 2-3 points on it. Minimum. If it's 100% funding and there's no buyer in place, who's going to do that for less than 2-3 points?
That's right. But here's the thing. It's not the cost of capital that we should be talking about. It's the ease and the access to capital. If I can call up Pace and Pace can write the check for me and I give half the profit to Pace for writing the check, I got my deal done. It was the access to money that mattered, not the cost of the money. And people are going to have to change their mindset around capital to move forward in this business.
Yep.
Because it's not going to be cheap to get access to money if you're not putting skin in the game. Like if you're putting 20% down, okay, fine, you can get a deal on rates and stuff. But if you're saying, Jerry, I got this great deal, funded 100% for me, I'm going to be in the deal 90 days till I turn it. It's just not. The market's not going to do that for cheap because it's risk.
This is the greatest thing. This is the greatest thing for wholesale, honestly.
I mean, it's a level up. It's a level up.
It forces the wholesalers also to not, only treat themselves like wholesalers. I think one of the biggest problems I see with wholesalers is they stay wholesalers, and you should always wholesale. always wholesale. There's always wholesale deals, and you should always keep that as what you're doing. But like at some point, don't you want to stop working? Right. And like, let's be honest, 99% of wholesalers don't build a team. Be honest. 99% of wholesalers you'll ever meet in your life, whether they're at a seminar, you meet them, a meetup, you meet them, they're in the side chat, they are a one-man operation. And they're not Brent Daniels. They're not Pace. They're not Jerry. They're not Jamil. They're not 99% of the people. Like 99% of people are out there not going to go build a team. And so what ends up happening is they get in the wholesale hamster wheel because they're just chasing that check all the time. Let's say that you infuse the understanding of how to raise money to go get more deals done. You infuse that understanding. You know what happens when you understand where money comes from and how you can access it? You start going, why don't I own rentals too? Why don't I have the ability to do these other things? What the heck? It's this wholesale industry has allowed wholesalers to stay in a wholesaler mindset. Wholesale is the gateway drug to success. You need it. You absolutely 100% need it. But what's the next step after that is you start buying a rental every year or a rental every couple of quarters or whatever it is. Why don't wholesalers make that leap? They don't make that leap because they've been poisoned to believe everything comes down to, I'm just going to transfer paper. I think this is great. I think what's going to happen is all these wholesalers that are going to stick, wholesale is going to get easier because of this.
You're 100% right. It's absolutely going to get easier. Imagine how many people are going to be in South Carolina right now trying to get deals under contract. A lot less.
It's going to wipe out 90% of the industry. I'm just telling you right
now. If you got access to
I'm
capital and you know your
90%.
numbers, you are going to be king turd of Turd Island in South Carolina.
Think about the process, how simple this will be. You'll sit down with a seller. You'll tell them, I can give you $10,000 non-refundable earnest money because I'm the buyer. I can close. I'm the buyer. Here's proof of funds. I'm the buyer, right? I'll waive contingencies. Now you buy it. Now you trash it out and you clean it and it's vacant. You know how easy it is to sell a vacant, cleaned out property? Then you take it to the MLS. You just outsource dispo. No sales team, no all this complicated outbounding cash buyers. Agents now sell the property for you. You just eliminated the dispo department. And your fees should be double. What I'm finding right now with our takedown deals where we're doing the wholesale model is we're making 2 to 4 times more than an assignment would make. Because I'm going aggressive. I'm buying deep. I'm taking it to market. I'm getting in front of more eyeballs. I'm not because I don't have to leave meat on the bone for the flipper now because I'm going direct to like someone that's going to do it yourself or whatever, in the open market. It's just a way clean that you can scale. You can scale that model.
So Jamil, what do you think about? So is it just you're building better relationships with agents that are still referring you business? Do you have to go direct to seller at this point now?
I think of course you could still all the same modalities on how you do lead generation. I don't think that changes. I just think that the lead gen and the acquisition of the deal doesn't change. Yeah. It's the disposition that changes dramatically.
Well, a lot of people get their deals from other wholesalers.
Well, the JV model ends.
Right.
The JV model in South Carolina
is a huge
ends.
Part of this business.
Absolutely. Well, in that state.
Wait. How does that end?
Well, because you can't market. You can't market somebody else's contract. You can't market a deal that somebody else owns. So JVing doesn't become a thing any longer. You've got to be the active one marketing the deal.
Okay,
the owner of the property.
Let's talk about this for a second for the guy who likes to operate in the gray every once in a while. Who's telling you where and what you cannot market? Can I not call my buyers on my list and have a conversation?
Nope.
How do they track that? How do they prove that?
They see if you do that over and over and over again, and then they bring a suit against
you. And how do they see that?
The title company and closing attorneys,
different LLCs. But when I wholesale a deal or I get paid outside, I mean, what keeps me from this? Like technically, what keeps me from this?
Just title companies and closing attorneys.
Yeah, it's the closing attorneys that are going to stop it because they're not going to take the risk.
That's what this guy's saying, Pace. That's what the interview that Jerry had with him is. If they see that there is a pattern that you are selling properties that you don't own, they're gonna bring a suit against you.
I love that they believe they have the technical capabilities to do that and track that. How do they, what is the technical way they would look that up?
Well,
they do it by fear, Pace. They're going to go and they're going to send letters out, and they're going to send out a info packet to the closing attorneys that are handling deals out there. And they're going to say, this is going to be the new regulation. And if you don't want to lose your license or get dragged into a lawsuit and face steep penalties and fines, this is what you're going to do. If somebody comes to you and it appears as though they've marketed the deal before closing on the deal, you're going to report that. And they're going to actively turn the closing attorneys into the whistleblower.
And here's the thing, though, I would add to that, Pace, is let's say that we find a workaround in South Carolina, like an LLC thing or whatever, right? Are you and I going to build a business model around that in South Carolina? No, it's too risky. What if it doesn't work? What if on the 10th one, they find out I did it, right? And they come and they say, I'm unwinding all these deals you've done, and we're finding you on every transaction you've done now since this law was passed. Like, I'm not taking that risk in South Carolina. I'm either going to do it clean or not at all, because whatever I do, I want to make a business out of it. I don't want to be a one and done or, like slide under the table over here and there.
You're telling me, let's get this. I'm on the same page with you guys. Okay. I think that there's something really silly here. It's like when people say we're going to raise the taxes on the rich. You don't raise the taxes on the rich. You make your voter base believe you are. And then even if you come out with regulation to make the rich people pay more taxes, guess what the rich people do?
Pass it on.
We figure out a way to move to Puerto Rico, or we figure out some other way to not pay taxes. There's always an answer. Rich people always have an answer. Smart people always have an answer. So my point to this is that, let's say that I'm a licensed agent and I go lock up a deal with a seller. I get a verbal commitment with a seller. I go to my buyer. I have a phone call with my buyer and I say, hey, buyer, I've got a deal. It's on this address. I'm planning on locking it up. Can I lock it up underneath your contract and get paid a fee at close of escrow? I'm a licensed agent. I can get paid an assignment fee. Can I not?
Yep. You can get paid a commission. Yep.
So
commission, not assignment.
But can I determine what my commission is?
Yep.
Okay. And my broker pays I pay $250 to my broker.
Yep. That's it. You could do that.
Okay.
You would call it a commission, though, not an assignment. And it would be
okay. Semantics, not important. I can say you're going to pay me a $15,000 flat fee commission for bringing this deal to you. Cool. My broker takes $250. Maybe I am the broker, right? If I decide to just go get my broker's license, could I not just call my buyer a week before we close and say, I've got this deal? Who tracks that? How is it even physically possible?
Well, your contract would have to be in the buyer's name, not your name.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Well, then the buyer would be signing with the seller, not you.
That's fine.
Right. Okay.
You're just earning
commission. And so all that does is it just opens up the door for the buyer to do shenanigans, right? Which can happen. When Steve came onto this show that day.
Hey, Pace, I'm not going to close this deal unless you take a $5,000 commission instead of 15.
Sorry, the commission instructions are already at the title. And
yeah, I know. I'm not going to close.
No problem. We're just never going to do business again together. Let's
that's what he's saying about shenanigans. I mean, it's
not a real viable model, like a business model. Like, would you do that 10 times a month? Maybe once.
That's what I was doing as an agent, Jerry. That's how I did my first 3 deals.
Why couldn't you do that 10 times a month? What keeps you from doing that 10 times a month? You're a licensed agent. You're getting paid a commission. What am I doing wrong?
You're not doing anything wrong if you're a licensed agent, and that's how you structure it.
Right.
The only thing that you're opening yourself up to is the shenanigans. And if the people won't,
I got shenanigans on cash and creative wholesale deals, even when the contract's in.
Absolutely, shenanigans always happen, regardless. They happen, right?
I get buyers that are late. I got lenders that are late. I've got buyers that come to me the day after close of escrow and say, hey, we're dropping this. We want to drop this 20,000. I get that crap anyway.
Yeah. I think if you have a buyer that goes, hey, listen, I want to buy in this neighborhood. Can you go and see who wants to sell in this neighborhood? And I'll give you a commission, and you go and find it and put it together. Yeah. That's fine. I think what they're talking about is marketing a property you don't own.
what it is it sounds like they think that marketing a property you don't own is going to stop the wholesalers, when the reality is people like me are going to figure out a way to do it regardless. I mean, doing it that way, how am I violating anything?
No, but you have to have a license. That's
Okay.
it. Yeah.
If I lived in South Carolina, I'd get a license and I'd just do the deal.
Right.
Yeah, but even like that's so funny you say this, Pace, because you're such a problem solver, and like getting a license is like a level 0.0001 on your hard scale. But I talk to wholesalers about getting a license, and it's like I asked somebody to go freaking jump off a bridge or something to get I'm not getting a real estate license. It's like, what do you can't take a 40-hour class and pass a test?
No.
You know what I mean? Like,
I'm telling you, it'll wipe out 90% of the people.
Why are people so adverse to getting a freaking real estate license? I don't understand this conversation at all that I have on a daily basis.
I think what's cool about this actually is, look, there's new people that leave every industry every day, and they there's new people that enter that industry every day. Forget about wholesale, insurance sales, or let's say dumpster rentals, or whatever, right? Boat storage. It doesn't matter. People get out and in every single day. So with wholesale, when new people get into the industry, let's say in 6 months, and the regulation has been passed, they won't know any different.
Yeah, that's just how you do it.
It just won't be a get rich quick scheme. Yeah. That's the thing, Pace. Like, have you ever been on TikTok and just watched the lives that are going on in TikTok, to a webinar, to a funnel, to a coaching how to do this for $50? They sell thousands of them, bro.
For
thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands. I mean, there's way more people out there trying to go in wholesale than you think. And that's going to be gone. That's going to be gone. And the let me sell your deal to my cash buyers are gone. And listen, it could be 5 years. It could be 10 years. I don't know how long it's going to be for it to be adopted each state. I mean, it could, the licensing in Illinois happened 5 years ago.
5 years ago. Yeah.
5 years
I don't think it's something I don't think this is a domino situation. Personally, I don't feel like that's what's going to end up happening. I think there's just way too many. Every state's different. Every industry in every state is different. They all have exactly. So I think this is a South Carolina problem, not a industry problem. That's just my opinion. You guys might have different opinions, but I just feel like this is a South Carolina problem. It is going to be in some states like Oregon and others that are going to follow suit. But overall, states like Arizona they've already ruled on it, right? They've already said we need a disclosure. Okay. And Illinois, they say you need a real estate license. So they've already started to kind of put their stamp on how they're going to agree for this kind of business to happen. And then you just decide where you want to work, right? That's the beauty of the internet and cell phones, is you can live in South Carolina and you can sell deals to Pace and Jerry and I in Arizona and Brent in Arizona. You can do business anywhere you want.
It's just, if you think about it this way, if you're in South Carolina and you're not capitalized and you're unwilling to get capitalized, you're going to leave South Carolina and you're going to go virtual in some other state or whatever you're going to do. If you're highly capitalized, you're moving to South Carolina to do real estate right now.
What do you guys say we put together right? A wholesale hotline fund where we each put in, $100,000 or $200,000, and we specifically earmark it for deals in South Carolina that we underwrite, close, and help the industry move these deals forward. And we show them that, no, we're not going to just sit back and let this happen. We're going to become the bank. We're going to capitalize our people. We're going to create a community here, and we're going to keep it going. We've got a few $100,000 here. We got $500,000 or so in a fund. We're going to buy these little crap houses and we're going to sell them. We're going to take them down. We're going to be the lender. We're going to help people get this done. We're going to follow your rules, but we're going to show you that wholesale isn't going anywhere.
I'm 100% down with that. Easy.
I'll tell you, go ahead, Pace.
I was going to say also, like, on the seller finance side, right? Like, this attorney, there's things that have been going on in creative finance for 200 plus years. I've got a deed in my studio downstairs from Sam Adams' wife, who seller financed 290 acres 300 years ago. Mm-hmm. This is not new, right? So I look at this and I'm like, guys, more people in South Carolina are going to have to learn creative finance. And I'm not trying to sell a course. Obviously, I'm the creative finance guy, but like, it's honestly so simple. And Jerry made a good point. He said, well, why would a seller take a creative finance deal on a lowball cash offer? Well, I'll tell you honestly, like, not even talking to anybody in the audience, put me in any appointment, put Jerry in any appointment, put Brent in any appointment, put Jamil in any appointment with a seller. I can show the seller how this benefits them, even at a low cash offer, to let me pay them $1,000 now, let me own the property so I can go market it. I could do that easily. I don't need funding for that. I need $1,000 to close on the deal and do it as an executory contract. That also solves the problem, and they can't keep me from doing that either. They're not going to unravel like land contracts and contracts for deeds. They're not going to unravel 200 years of like.
No, and that's the plan here. That's what this guy Gary is doing. Pace. He's just decided that, hey, we know that it's not going to unravel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to monetize the solution.
Here's what we'll do. So a lot of people have been hearing, we've been getting ready to launch a nationwide title company. Our closing attorney, okay, Matt McCabe is our closing attorney. I will close every one of those transactions in South Carolina, and I will show you guys how to do the creative finance transactions on a wholesale deal, and I will call it a creative wholesale deal, and people can kiss my ass. And we will 100% close those deals in South Carolina. And this attorney who says, I'm going to patent this thing, I'm going to patent something.
I want to go head to head with this guy.
I'm going to patent this thing that's been done for hundreds of years. Good luck, bro. We'll show you that we've been doing the thing before your patent existed, and it's been done 200 years ago on old deeds at the county recorder's office. You can't patent a thing that's been done. It's common knowledge. You can't patent that. So the guy's going to have a hard time with it. He's going to tell people from a marketing mechanism, smart on his part, by the way, this is a patent pending process, bro. It's a contract for deed. Like, people in Montana that have 7 teeth know what a contract for deed is. Okay, you're not going to freaking patent this process. So it's very simple for us to overcome this. Either A, we don't double close, but we'll fund. Jamil's right. I think the right thing to do is have people go on his podcast on Straight Outta Compton. Hey, I have a South Carolina deal. What do you think? Buy it at this. Okay, great. If I buy it at that, will you guys close on it so I can go and find a buyer? Absolutely, bro. That's option 1. Option 2, go learn how to do creative finance on the basic level. Okay, get a top tier TC.
How did you get Bloom just now?
You do something like that. I don't know. It doesn't work for me, Jerry. It doesn't work for I don't know. He's got something set up.
He's got confetti now.
Confetti too?
Wait, he's got hearts. It's so lame. I love it. I want the hearts. How do I get hearts? Why don't we have hearts?
Somebody show me how to
Hey, where's the team here? Get us fixed up. I want to do those. Give me confetti.
Anyway, so this is a simple solution. Nobody can stop us, dude. And this is a new shirt I just designed. Check this out. What does this say right here? Does anybody know what this is?
The growth is heavy.
It says the crown is heavy.
Oh, the crown.
When you want to be the king and you want to wear the crown, it's going to be heavy. Okay. And you got to remember that. And so when you're trying to win in real estate and you're trying to do cool things, it's heavy. You got to use your brain. You got to use that noggin of yours to hold that crown up. It's a heavy process. And so I love it. I love every part of this. I think it levels up every wholesaler. I still think that they can wholesale. They just call it a different mechanism. It's not freaking, this is not hard. It's actually in some ways better and easier. We are unstoppable. And this guy, what's this guy's name? Ballsack. What's his name?
Ballsack McGee.
Esquire.
What? Yeah. What is it? Jerry?
Gary Pickren.
Okay. Gary Pickren and I are going to have a nice little fun battle. My attorney will beat him to the punch, and we will go out. And who's a better marketer? Gary Pickren or Pace Morby? Who can market better? Now you're gonna have a problem. You're gonna have the sub-2 community. You're gonna have Astro, TTP. You're gonna have all of the flipping geniuses. You're gonna have everybody in Gatorland going, we're not using that asshole. That guy's an asshole. We are not using that asshole. We're gonna use somebody that actually cares about the industry. This guy doesn't care about the industry. Guys, it's 2024. The whole let's block everybody to force people to do business. That doesn't work anymore. Transparency is the way nowadays, right? You lose if you are not transparent. This guy is obviously not being transparent, and he's fear mongering. Homeboy's in cahoots with Steve Trang and some other knucklehead to go and dismantle the wholesale industry. Bro, if that's the only value you bring to the industry is to dismantle it, to force people to do business with you, the industry will fight against you. Bye. Are you serious?
Yes. Yeah, that's what they're trying to do. And that's what exactly what you're saying, Pace, is what we need to do to combat it.
Bro, this is a solution. Let's bring Matt McCabe on here, our attorney for our closing, for our nationwide title company.
And let's bring Gary Pickernose over here too. And let's get Matt here.
I will never give that guy a platform. That guy can lick my balls. There's no possible way I'm giving him a platform.
Fine. That's cool. No, he's right. Why give him shine? Right?
Guys, this guy, okay, this old piece of shit, okay, is telling, sorry, this is going on Jerry's YouTube channel too. Jerry's like, Payson, I got to edit this, you freaking idiot. This guy,
I'm not editing anything.
This guy is going against every single person that's trying to get their start in real estate.
Yep.
Yes.
How can I get more money? How can I figure out how to get more money? I know what I'll do. I'll say I got a patent, and then I'll go and you know what? These wholesalers, they can't protect themselves. There's nobody representing these people. We can go and push on regulators, and we can go get this done. I will make more money. Guys, when you provide no value to the marketplace, this is how your marketing works. When you provide all the value to the marketplace, like we do, these four, we can give and give and give and give, and the marketplace will respond to that. This guy, it's not just karma, it's just bad business.
Yep.
It's bad business. Oh
Amen.
my gosh, this guy's selling a class on how to do this. It's so genius. The guy, you know what? I don't know how to do good YouTube. I don't know how to do good business. You know what I'll do? I'll shut down the industry to force people to take my class. Oh my God. This is great, dude. Is this real? This is not a joke.
True. Dude, this is the guy who partnered with Steve Trang the day that Steve came and tried to hawk that on Wholesale Hotline.
Garbage. It's a garbage process. And you're, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, this is too good. We need to get Harry Marsh on here. He's a South Carolina attorney too. This is too freaking good. Guys, I'm telling you, if this is the way that our country continues to go, everybody's just going to move to Montana. That's all there is to it. Okay. Amazing.
I got beat out on that contract on that house, by the way, in Kalispell.
No.
Yeah, bro. I'm so pissed off.
Probably by $300,000, I would imagine.
I don't even know where it went. I went up 50,000 over list. I went 50 grand over list, and I still lost.
Yeah,
but I'm coming though. I'm like every single day. I got like multiple agents out there hunting for me, and within the next 7 days, I'm gonna have a house under contract in Kalispell. I'm gonna be y'all's. I'm not gonna be y'all's neighbor because you guys live in you're on the lake and he's in the mansion. But I'll have a little spread down the road, and I'll just come hang out at your guys' house.
Don't be too stay in the Airstream.
No, don't be too far away because I need a babysitter. I don't have a good babysitter.
Awesome.
Jerry, I'm flying up to Kalispell tomorrow, bro.
Oh,
when are you coming?
I'm so jealous. Not for another month.
This is such a great conversation. Here's what I think the takeaway here is. Okay. Number one, if you're in South Carolina, and by the way, South Carolina is an awesome market, awesome people, awesome appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are moving there, tons of growth, tech companies, great colleges. South Carolina is freaking awesome. If you want to be there, yeah, coastal, like Birdie is right here. She's in the side chat. She's awesome. Birdie is in Charleston. Really great state. Okay, great. If you want to continue to do business there, then get your license. Okay, that's easy. Solution number one. Can you wholesale as a licensee? You just can't market it.
Can't market. Yes.
Okay, that's easy. The second thing that I would do is I would figure out where money comes from.
Capital.
Capital. That's easy.
I guys, I think we set that fund up here sooner than later. Let's put together a wholesale hotline fund for South Carolina and let's get it going.
It's fun. It's funny to me. It's funny to me, Pace. Like you and I did right here in the gazebo office. We did a series on private money lending. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
And it flopped on my channel.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to talk about how to get money. Nobody wants to talk about how to raise capital to do deals. It's like, just show me how to get a contract that I can do no money, make money with no money. And everyone in this industry has got to change that mindset like ASAP. Because
I don't think you can. And I've thought about this a lot. I think that human beings are inherently lazy. They follow the path of least resistance. And I think most people will just leave South Carolina as an opportunity state for them.
Yeah.
And the people who do stick with South Carolina are the 500 people that watch those videos.
Yeah.
And they're going to kill it.
And you'll murder. In fact, this makes me want to go to South Carolina.
Me too, dude. Let's get on a flight. Let's go check out the market and let's go plant a flag out there and really get it done.
Can you imagine, Jamil, you're talking to a seller and there aren't 5 other virtual wholesaler contracts on the seller's table?
It's going to be phenomenal.
It's going to be fun.
What's the next state that's going to get outlawed? That's my next
Oregon.
state I'm going to wholesale in.
Oregon's already there. Connecticut's got some laws proposed. Oh, I heard somebody's working on sub 2, Pace. Some sub 2.
Oh, I hope so. It's already been, bro, this is the thing. It's like already been awarded in the Supreme Court multiple times that sub 2 is legal. They would have to unravel all the way to the Supreme Court. It's in IRS stuff. It's in the Fannie Freddie guidelines. It's in all, it's so intertwined. And here's what will happen. If you don't want to do sub 2, guess what we're going to do? Executory contracts.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Pace,
you can't stop us.
Yeah. Well, it's like you said, Pace. If someone says to Pace Morby, okay, this one specific way of transacting, you can't do it anymore. Okay, you got 99 other ways to do, something else similar, right?
Yep.
Like,
here's my answer. I'd be like, oh, good. I was getting bored with that anyway. I'm going to go pursue this other thing.
But I think here's what I would kind of say, about all of this is like, if a little bit of friction, like getting a license or getting capitalized or whatever, if all it takes is a little bit of friction for you to leave this industry, you should have never been here anyway, and you weren't going to make it anyway, because you're going to face friction. If it's not one way or another, you're going to. And so I've been talking about this, and I get all these comments in YouTube that are like, I'm out of here. I'm done now. I quit.
Good. Later, buddy.
Right. I'm like, really? That's all it took?
That was it.
That was it? That was all
easy
it took?
Come, easy go.
Wow.
Make money fast. Wholesale real estate. Let's do it. Look on TikTok, find people that are making calls live, and now you're in the funnel. Boom.
Oh, Dana Jones says, as of June 30th, 2023, there are 34,153 real estate agents licensed in South Carolina, according to the South Carolina Real Estate Commission. That's half of what we have in Arizona. Wow.
This is a good one right here. Nisha. Okay. So Nisha says, or lease with an option, take control and cash flow, less entry sometimes. So the 20-acre little farm I just bought up in Kalispell, right down the road from Jerry, I bought that on a lease option with $1 as my option fee. Literally $1 down on a $3.7 million property. $1 down. And guess what I got with a lease option? I got tax benefits. I have control of the property. I was able to fully write off the $3.7 million, not the full thing, but I did depreciation against it. Even with a lease option, I got my depreciation.
You can get depreciation. I had no idea you could do that.
Yeah, we figured it out last year. Me and my attorney and an IRS auditor figured it out about a year and a half ago. Yeah. Now, do I prefer to buy through a lease option? Absolutely not. I prefer to just have the deed in my name, but I control the property with my lease option. And what's cool about my option on that particular property, my option is not, I don't have to go get a loan to execute the option. I execute my option through sub 2. So they just transfer the deed. Very simple. So it's a lease option to a sub 2 deal. So why would I not do that yet? Well, the seller says, well, I don't want you to take the deed of the property until you've paid off my equity. Oh, no problem. I'll pay off your equity first, and then we'll deed the property over, and I'll just take the property over sub 2. Guys, the amount of creative things that you can do in this industry are unlimited. No asshole in South Carolina can stop you. Okay? Can't stop you. And if he's trying to sell a course, him and Steve, I'm like disappointed in Steve Trank. You guys can text him that. If this is your way of selling a course, is to extract value from the industry instead of pour value into it.
That's why he got slayed on Wholesale Hotline that night.
Bro, I need to retire from being just like around knuckleheads. I just can't do it anymore. I'm getting too old. I can't do it. Oh my gosh. Yes, Maj, we had a whole Zoom about this. You missed it. The buyer has the tax benefits when buying on a lease option. Yes. Here's the problem. Don't buy on a lease option if you don't have to. You want to buy in sub 2, or you want to buy in seller finance. You want the deed in your name. You want to have full control. If the seller dies when you have a lease option, you have a couple of extra steps, and those extra steps are not necessarily impossible, but they're just extra steps. Okay. Why do you want to go that route? All the time. Pace told me to do something. I said, it can't be done. From my small view realtor mindset, there was always a way. I just needed to learn how. Okay. Yesterday, I'm flying home from Lubbock, Texas. I went and visited. We have 55 units in.
How did you get down, by the way, from the roof? I'm curious.
Yeah, me too. I want to know.
I found a fence next to the roof, and I turned around and put my foot on top of the fence, and I spun around and like lowered myself down. I figured it out.
How'd you get up there?
With a lease option.
That was what I thought. I just wanted to ask, but that's what I thought.
Okay, so anyway, I'm in the airport yesterday, and I'm like, I need to get home earlier. So I tell the lady.
That was good, Pace. That was really good.
Did I make you laugh?
Yeah, that was great.
That was, yeah.
So I'm at the airport. I tell the lady, I don't want to be at 8:30. I want to be at 6:30. Can you change it for me? She says, I can't change it from the terminal. We can't do this anymore. We can't do that. Like, you have to call in or use the app. And I'm like, you sound like a human right now. Can I just talk to a robot, please? Like, I'm at a point now where I'd rather just talk to AI. I'm not even interested in talking to humans, because humans are inherently lazy. They will just tell you no because they're about to go on break. And the thing that you're asking them to do is going to take 3 minutes out of their 15-minute break. That is like
real.
All the time that's happening.
Yeah.
So I have a status at American Airlines that's like the top tier. It's called Concierge Key, and I have a full-time employee that works for me at American Airlines. So I tell the lady at the terminal, I go, hey, should I just call my concierge and tell her and ask her to just tell you how to do? She goes, it's physically impossible. It can't be done. It's not going to happen. You're just gonna have to go home at 8:30 tonight. I go, fine. I'm like, do you really want me to call like somebody and make this a thing? She's like, sir, whether it is a thing or it's not a thing, I don't care. They can't tell me how to do my job. I'm here at the terminal. What do they know about my job? So I call my concierge. My concierge says, oh, no problem. Let me talk to him. Hands him the phone. She presses one button on the computer that she couldn't see somehow until somebody told her it was there. And she changes my flight, and I get a flight 2 hours earlier. And she goes, I didn't know that was possible. Oh my gosh. Guys, do you know how many times this happens in your life? You take a check down to the bank, and the bank says, sorry, we have to hold this for 7 days. And you go, I can't wait 7 days. I need that money right now. Sorry, sir, it's bank policy. We can't release the money because of blah, 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 blah. Okay, give me my stupid check. I take the check back. I go to a different freaking branch. I talk to a different freaking human. And what happens? They release my funds. Guys, welcome to life. This has nothing to do with wholesale. It has nothing to do with this asshole attorney in South Carolina. It is every aspect of your life. You will run into this. You're either a little sissy and you take no for an answer, or you go, no, I'm not. That's not possible. It's not logical. I'm going to move through, even if you tell me no, and I'll figure out a way. And people that are business owners know this way too often. Think about, Jerry, when you're building a house and a concrete guy says, it's impossible for me to pour concrete for the next 30 days. You go, I'll just call a different concrete guy. Yeah. And your first concrete guy goes, no, there's nobody else that's willing to do this job. I'm the only guy that can do it. Mm-hmm. One call later, you find a guy and he's cheaper and he shows up like a month earlier. Like, welcome to business, guys. Everybody's assuming you're as lazy as them and you won't verify their bull crap. So this freaking person that is in South Carolina, this attorney is assuming you're not going to learn creative finance. He's assuming you're not going to learn how to fund your deals. He's assuming that you're going to be a lazy knucklehead. He's assuming you'll listen to his lies.
Yep. Full stop. That's what it is. He's betting on the common denominator that people are going to take the path of least resistance, and he's hoping to profit off of that. That's what it is. I mean, this is exactly what this man is doing by him being on the board that voted it in. Whether or not he recused himself or not is such a conflict of interest. It is so terrible that they allowed that man to be on the board, knowing that he's created a coaching product and a contract that he's going to profit off of by this happening, by this law getting enacted. It is so unsavory. And the real estate commission needs to give themselves a shake to say, how did we allow this? And it needs to get exposed. It needs to get exposed.
Let's do a free installment sale training in South Carolina. And anybody that uses my title company, I'll give you an installment training course for free. What's that guy's name?
Bing, 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 bing. Gary Pickernose.
Pickron?
Pickle Dickle.
I'm gonna call the course. It's a free course. We're gonna give it away, and it's gonna be you picked on the wrong guy. Wait, is that the right thing? What should I say? I don't know. His name's Pickron.
Pickle Dickle.
Sorry. I think it's Pickren. Pickren. Pickren.
You've been Pickren with the wrong people. We'll give it away. We'll have my attorney do the course. Matt McCabe will do the deal, and we'll just give it away for free and dismantle that guy's coaching thing. And you guys can, in his YouTube comments, his Instagram things, just say taker. You're a freaking taker. You're destroying the industry. You're not helping anybody. Why would anybody want to do business with somebody like that? Are you freaking kidding me, guys? Jamil and I have traveled around the country for 5-6 years, spent millions of dollars in flights, hotels, and everything, doing free meetups and all this stuff. Yesterday, I'm in Lubbock, Texas, of all places. Okay, the most famous thing that's ever happened in Lubbock, Texas is Buddy Holly leaving. Okay, so I'm in the middle of their park on a Sunday afternoon, humid as heck, and sitting here pairing people up with each other out of the 40 people. Guys, we are never too big for this industry to fly in and do the pairing up and doing the work and making sure that people move forward with traction. This guy is dismantling an entire industry over in South Carolina, so you buy his course. Holy crap. How is that even real?
Can you think about the level of constipation in this guy's brain? That this is the way he thinks it's acceptable to make money. I'm going to just squeeze and squeeze. And it's like the most like Fink-like way to, it's just, he's like Smithers from The Simpsons, you know, he's just sitting there like, Mr. Burns, like, I'm going to get it. I'm going to make all the money. It's like he really took that lawyer thing right to the next level. Like he took the stereotype of an attorney and was like, yeah, and let's make it 10 times worse.
He saw an opportunity. He saw pissed off real estate agents. He saw pissed off probably people complaining about amateur wholesalers screwing around, always screwing around in South Carolina. And he said, well, you know, what if we ban this? What can they do? You know,
when are we going to South Carolina? We should do a live episode of Wholesale Hotline from South Carolina outside of this guy's freaking office.
Yeah.
Yeah. No shit. Like for real, we got to get out there and do something and just be like, look, buddy, this ain't going to work.
Waylon Jennings came from Lubbock, Texas. I wish I knew who that was. That might mean something. I did leave my sunglasses at the park. Thank you, Julian. You guys can have them. I've had those glasses for a long time. It's ready for the new owner. This is awesome. Jerry, who's the person we should interview from South Carolina? You got somebody there, another like board
Yeah, I've
member?
been texting with Andy something or another. He's the chairman. That's what it is. Chairman of the commission. And he's talking to legal about if he can talk to me. I think they're worried he might say something he shouldn't or something. I don't know, but I'm trying to get him on because I want to hear it from him.
The bill has not passed yet, correct?
No, but it's just needs the governor to sign. It's gone through the House and the Senate. So it's now
Okay.
it's just, whenever he signed. And
You have a copy of the bill?
It goes in effectively immediately once it's signed.
And do you have a copy of the terminology, the wording on it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the other thing. Like I've been texting with Andy, the chairman of the commission, and I'm like, look, if this is what you guys intended to do, why didn't you write it better? Like you wrote this so badly that all you've done is created all this chaos and everyone's now confused and everyone's now unsure like what it is you guys want and don't want. It blows my mind that they couldn't have figured out how to write this better, whatever they wanted it to be, but just wrote it better. So it's more digestible so we can understand it better.
I think Harry Marsh, which is another closing attorney that does a ton of sub-2 deals for the sub-2 community between North and South Carolina, I think having him come on and talk about this would be really good too. He's a closing attorney in both states. And
awesome.
Let's get him on next week if possible.
I've seen him on some chats talking about this. So I'm sure his phone's blowing up about it.
Yeah, I just sent him a text. He's a good guy. He's been inside of sub-2 for 4 years, helping out everybody in those 2 states. And he's been super solid, amazing guy. And he says he does 2 sub-2 transactions a day for the sub-2 community. So this guy is pretty good at creative finance. I think having a conversation. What's that?
Between the 2 states?
Between the 2 states, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is funny. I did buy this deal. I wholesaled the deal to Pace in South Carolina. I just wrote the contract with him and a buyer, and I was paid after escrow. I wonder if you can do that to get around it. Harry Marsh was our closing attorney.
Carl,
I think you're saying no.
No, I just delete that.
No? I mean, I did this was months ago.
Yeah.
I think I bought this deal like 3 or 4 months ago. Anyway. All right. Next episode? I think next episode we see who we can get on the show to talk about this. It would be great.
Awesome. That's our show, guys. Great chat.
Show. Fun time.
Wednesday and Sunday straight out of comp, and especially South Carolinians, you got to learn how to know your numbers. So check it out.
Jerry, what do you got going on,
Jerry?
Doing a live every Monday with my boys, trying to get them a deal. Nathan, my number 2, has got a short sale approved today. That's an awesome deal. So as long as the bank signed, which it looks like they will, so that's awesome. That'll be his first deal. So we do like 2.5 hours. I do it with the boys and I review calls with them and I try to pay attention to the chat so people can participate while they're doing that. And then doing a live with my wife every Tuesday night, and Pace and Laura are going to come on sometime soon. So we're excited for that.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I have a community member that actually has been reaching out to me. Her name's Jessica. The last couple of days, saying that she has spouse issues with her. She has a dream to be in real estate, but her spouse doesn't support her. And so I imagine we'll have that conversation on the live in the next.
We have that every week. There's somebody or a few people that face that. That's very normal, right? Because usually you have gas and brakes in a relationship and one person that's all for it, another person that's a little hesitant. And how do you navigate that? So we talk about stuff like that. It's really good for couples. Come with your spouse and you'll learn a lot. Those are late. We do them late. So it's at 9 Eastern. So I guess that's not late if you're Pacific, but yeah, come check that out.
The only thing I have going on is I will be moving to South Carolina this week to start a wholesale operation. So, Brent, what do you have going on this week?
Wednesday, 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We're going live. So I will see you there on the Brent Daniels YouTube channel. And that's it. Wholesale Hotline 220. We're out. Love
Later,
you.
folks.
Or just say squat up.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
What are you doing?
I didn't say nothing.
Why?
I don't know.